It's controversial, it's what's on my mind, and it's what I'm talking about here on today's DnDaily. Hello and thank you for joining me. I'm Gregory. This is 1 in 20 D&D, as you probably already know. If you're new here, this is my daily vlog where I talk about D&D and RPGs and things that I see in the news and around the internet that strike my fancy and I think might be interesting to you as well. So, what is this that I'm talking about, this controversy? Well, here it is. There was an article that was released by Bloomberg about basically pay to play Dungeons and Dragons. So what I mean by that and what the article talks about is dungeon masters who are essentially getting paid to run games. Now, on the surface, it seems like it's a really controversial issue, and I suppose on a certain level it probably is. I also have another perspective of it that I want to share, and so I'm going to kind of sort of brainstorm and work my way through this topic as I share this today with you guys, because this is just what's on my mind. I read it yesterday, I thought about it, I saw a couple of tweets about it, and have some of my own thoughts. And here's where I'm going to start. First and foremost, the article is an article. It's a news article, right? It's journalism. So there's a bit of sensationalism that we have to, as creative and open-minded thinkers, as people who want to think deeply about life, we gotta recognize that whoever wrote this article wrote it to be to stir people up, to create a reaction. And it did, for sure. I felt like both enthused and excited about it because I want to make something connected with Dungeons and Dragons and gaming part of my career, whether it's writing games or whether it's doing this vlog or something similar, or who knows what. Maybe someday it will be getting paid for DMing or playing. So there's a part of me that really is like, yes, that's cool. And then, of course, the player, the old school guy in me is kind of like, wait a minute, D&D is supposed to be about just having good old fun and that kind of thing. So I'm sort of on both sides of the fence with this. And I'd love to know where you feel, like, how do you feel about this? This might be a great one for us to have a discussion in these comments. And so for me, I'm thinking like, okay, right now, in a way, you could say people are getting paid for what they're creating if they're streaming on Twitch, they have a YouTube following, and they have subscribers or Patreons. I mean, on a certain level, being paid for running a game is already happening. We just might not realize it or think of it as such. And furthermore, this is, to a degree, entertainment, right? I mean, we don't think anything about our Netflix subscription. We don't think much about, paying for a book that we might want to read, or going to a movie and paying for that, a comedy show, a theater production. We pay for entertainment every day, let's say. And yet, when this topic was raised, I think a lot of us, I felt this way a little bit, but I think a lot of people, a lot of us were like, wait a minute, paying for D&D is crazy. In fact, I remember a while back, I saw on Roll20 that pay-to-play gaming was a thing, and my first initial reaction was like, no way, that's not right. That was genuinely how I felt right away. And I've had to kind of think about it and really look a little more deeply at this, because I think this is an interesting topic that's not going to go away. In fact, if anything, it's probably going to become more prevalent. One thing I've read, and I think I can understand, is if you have a budget, if you have money that you can spend, if you have some disposable income that you can spend, why not spend 15 bucks or 20 bucks to pay a DM or pay a game store? You know, lots of people, I used to go to game stores. I'm going to tangent here for a moment. I used to pay $5 a night to go play at a game store for 4 hours. The cool thing about that was, you got credit with the store, because that's just how this store ran it. Each time you went, you got store credit for that $5. And then the DM, they didn't have to pay. They just got $5 for themselves as store credit. So what happened is you built up store credit over time that you could use towards, you know, like snacks, or maybe a deck of Magic cards or something like that, or a player's handbook if you had accumulated enough to afford that, so, or wanted to chip in the balance. So it was a brilliant platform and idea, and lots of shops do that or something similar. Maybe everybody pays $5 or $10 and the DM gets paid $20 or whatever for the evening, $25 for the evening. I think that's actually pretty cool, because now here's what happens. When you're paying for this service, you're very nearly guaranteed to have a game, to have someone that's going to show up and run your game, and most likely not flake out at the last minute. Of course, life happens. If, you know, something may prevent them from showing up, and I get that, but by and large, and I would say the vast majority of the time, someone will be there to run the game. And for a lot of people who've had the experience of, like, in fact, one of my good friends was talking about this in a tweet yesterday, the same thing of, like, you put a lot of effort into organizing a game, or, you know, getting ready your character or whatever it is, and then you're all ready to go, and for whatever reason it fizzles and pops and never happens. I've had that happen repeatedly. I've had games go for 2 or 3 sessions and then nothing happens. I've had games where everybody got excited and then it never happens in the first place. You know, you spend all this time developing your backstory or what have you. That's life. That's part of this experience of being a gamer and playing games, I think, to a degree. Like, I have a game with my good friends, Reed, I know you watch these. We have a game we play pretty much every week, but you know what? We're adults and we all have lives and they get busy. I was out of town for 2 weeks, so we didn't play. And that's okay, because I know, because they're my friends, that we're going to come back together and we're going to have another game session. So there's no, like, love lost there. There's no feeling of, like, it's not happening. It's just like, oh, bummer, it's not happening tonight. Whereas some people probably can relate to this feeling of, like, I have a few characters that I really, really, really wanted to play, and then the game never really went anywhere, or it never even happened in the first place. So I have to say, I feel like like after thinking about this more and in more depth, I feel like paying a DM or paying a service for a game, it might not be all that bad if you can afford to. If you can't, then you got to find a group of friends, and maybe it ends up where it's like in the old days. If you want to play and there's not enough people to play, or there's no DM, maybe you've got to step up as the DM, which is sort of where I found myself with our group, and I'm okay with that. And I think it's awesome that that happens, because at the end of the day, I think and I hope, you know, whether you're playing with friends, playing for free, what have you, playing at a game shop or whatever, whether you're doing it without paying or whether you're paying, either way, at the end of the game, I really sincerely hope you are having fun and getting to experience the joy and the pleasure and fun of playing these amazing games, and in the process developing some great friendships. That's ultimately, at the end of the day, really, that's all that matters. Because, you know, I've been saying it for a few months now here, you know, and here it is again. It's your game. Play your way. It's controversial. It's what I don't want to jingle jangle.